So it kind of has that S2000 look, of course convertible, rear-wheel drive, but it's about 50 years older than an S2000. It has modern day disc brakes on it.
I think we're gonna need to bleed them too if we're gonna drive it.
Don't feel like anything's happening?
Pedal doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
They may not have done anything to it.
Unless you've got to like really.
We know you're gonna need these. We're gonna put them accessible. Wow, look at that dipstick. It's got the MG logo.
I don't know what this is, but besides a water leak.
The MG car company. So the Thames is the river. You heard of the River Thames? Wow. I believe those are SU carbs.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up, that's all my dad used to talk about is SU carbs. He loved these things.
He still did.
Yeah. I think he told you about them, didn't he?
Yeah. He didn't want to like put them on pretty much anything you were talking about.
We're working on an S2000, he'd come by and go, you know what, it needs a couple of SU carbs, then we can tune it.
Get some side drafts on there, will be set.
Something completely different. You guys have no idea why we're here. So this is why we're here. They brought us down to take a look at this car. Very special car. It's been in the family for a while. They want to repower it and make this thing reliable. We go down, we take some measurements. They put it on the lift for us so we can see all the different angles. And the plan we have is a Honda rear-wheel drive engine and transmission. If we can make it fit, of course, that has to be the Honda S2000 motor. So we finally have clearance. It fits everywhere. We have to build a sheet metal intake manifold, change the inlet and outlet for the radiator, possibly build a custom radiator, but it fits. We now have to build mounts and then start building a tunnel for the transmission, basically sheet metal in all the way around there. That transmission tunnel, for the most part, it fits between the frame rails and all of our tight spots. Okay, so we had the frame rails to contend with. This is the frame rail sitting right here. We have the engine, this is the oil pan, this is the block, this is the cylinder head, intake manifold, header, right? So this is where we're building our mounts. The next issue we ran into is those inner fenders, which are the straight up fenders right here. And then obviously the hood does this. These here were a lot tighter than we expected. So what we had to do is get the engine positioned. We would have to get our frame rails here and then essentially play with the angle of the engine. S2000 engine is slightly angled anyway. We'd have to play with that because we had these inner fenders to deal with. And what happens is if you got the engine placed like this, right, it would be tight here and tight here. We had no compressor to deal with, but we did have an alternator clearance, and then our intake manifold sits here. This was first gonna be sticking outside of our fender. Of course, there's nowhere for the header to go. The frame rail is here. There was about a 2-inch gap between this, so it would have to run a 2-inch pipe under there. Hence, the header is gonna come out of the fender here and then back. Obviously, you see the big swoopy fenders that will cover that as the headlights. So now it fits. We can weld up all the mounts and make them permanent, get the drive shaft made. We do have to modify the intake manifold because the throttle body points towards a radiator. Talking of which, we have a new radiator, much larger capacity, something we can modify and weld. The transmission tunnel is removable, so that's what we're building to fit around that, so it will still fit the car. Now we have the throttle body pointing backwards where the old battery tray was. So now we can box this in and make it fit exactly the way we want it. And now we have a transmission tunnel. So these old cars have a lot of bell cranks. If you've never seen these before, they're basically linkages to change direction or change the ratio of movement. Like something like this with the fulcrum offset one way, you would have 2 times movement, and 1 in return. You get a mechanical advantage this way, or even change the direction. These were all steel rods as opposed to cables or hydraulic system. This is just the way the old cars did it. Way more complicated, way more clunky and clumsy. We're changing a lot of this to cable and hydraulic like a modern day car. Well, we were almost certain that these gauges were not going to work, plus half of the things were not going to be functional with a new motor. So we said, hey, what about a new S2000 cluster to match?
All right, so if I touch these to the battery, we should have a gauge cluster. Yep, got a gauge cluster. Yep, but we have the ABS and the SRS lights there. So what I found is the SRS light wants 12 volts to turn off. So we should hook that up to this side. And then the ABS light on this side wants ground to turn off. So twist that to that side. Now we should have no warning lights now. That, there, no warning lights.
That's a little bit too beefy for this car. Do you think 1 would be odd?
Yeah, 1 we could do. But yeah, 2, you're right. I mean, it
starts looking real muscly, doesn't it?
Putting it there.
We're just looking for ideas.
We're starting as far forward as possible and working our way back while the camera's rolling. We can do 2 wide. Could even go wider, possibly.
I like it better on the inside. Definitely.
Or we can go
Like the Mini.
Right out there.
That might look too racy too, but then again, this is
Which
kind of...
way
gonna be
does the
right there.
MG usually come out?
It had 1.
It had just 1.
Yeah, so 1 like that.
Oh, that's lame.
This was a 53 horsepower drive shaft. This obviously handles 500 no problem at all. This one should handle more. Inch and 7/8 4-into-1 header. Now we have correct fitment. Clutch mechanism works, just gotta tidy that up and do some more adjusting, make a guide for it. The exhaust actually follows the look of the car, I think. It seems like the theme of the chrome tips in that position looks right. Of course, AP1 tips are the S2000 tips. It kind of follows the S2000 theme through the car. The exhaust tucks up pretty tight. The old exhaust went down that same side, but it actually hung pretty low, and you can't really see it from the ground the way the car is designed, but we want to have more ground clearance as possible. The wiring continues. We have to add relays because we're essentially rewiring the whole car. We want it to work correctly. So adding some heat shields anywhere the exhaust is close to like the pre-filter right there to the pump, and then build another one for the post filter, the one on the frame rail. Again, just long term, we don't want the heat to affect it or even cause like a vapor lock issue from the fuel getting overheated. Again, I don't know if it will be a problem. Just want to make sure we are covered in case. Drive shaft fits perfect, exhaust fits perfect. It's actually have more clearance than the factory one, even though it's a little bit bigger diameter exhaust. It sits closer up to the frame and it doesn't really protrude at the back. There we go, there's a hole cut in the back. That is the battery relocation. That is going in the back. The header sits pretty close to the frame. You're not going to see that once the over fenders are on. Shifter relocation puts our shifter in a much more comfortable position. When you sit there, it falls right into position. The battery box right there. Nice little battery location. Those exhausts, they look the part, I think. It kind of matches the whole theme of the car. The relays, the fuse box, everything's labeled, everything makes sense. Throttle cable is ran. Make sure we got full operation of that.
Got a key. I don't hear a fuel pump though. I might have to swap that.
That works. Cost of running an EMS ECU version 2. That way we can turn off the things that we don't need and configure it to all the things that we do need. We want as many things working as we can. Next thing is to just rewire that fuel pump so it works with the ECU. That way it doesn't run continuous. When the car turns off, you want the fuel pump to turn off. That's a safety thing. It's the way the factory do it. That's the way we're trying to make this one happen.
Just trying to get this back up in the hole real quick. Are you recording now?
Yeah, but I can dub it.
Okay, because I was going to say, I just took this out to change my wire back there and put it back so we can see what's happening. Ready?
Yep. Wow, cycles like it should do.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something else. It might idle up because we put a little bit of creep open on the throttle body. Well, it's running on its own. That's a big thing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God, I'm a coffee now.
No.
It's going to be really funny sounding like the V6.
You're louder than...
Wow.
It's like a real car.
It really is.
Yeah, right.
So this is the very first time we drove it. This is so good to see it move, and of course see our clutch and transmission mechanism doing its thing.
So the original factory switch, if you look a little bit further down the line, is pressure activated. And when I put my electrical tester on that to check ohms, it never unconnected after I pressed the brake.
Yeah.
The brakes are free, the wheels turn, but that never disconnected. This is still hot, so I'm not going to screw it in, but that bucket allows me to take an S2000 switch and screw it in until that hits the arm of the brake.
So the way this works is when you press this, the brake lights stay off, you release it, and the brake lights come on.
Yep.
Clever. Light test.
So we're either going to have brake lights or a blown fuse. Let's do that.
We've got brake lights.
They turn off?
Yeah.
They're on?
Oh, that's brilliant. So we decided to send the valve cover off and have it color matched to match the car itself. I thought it would bring that kind of classic theme. And then the spark plug cover, we're going to match that to the interior. It's of course a modern engine in a vintage car, but we want to make it look like it belongs in there.
So this should be tail,
Yep.
and then brake should be rider.
Yes. Wow, that's surprisingly good. It's more difference than I thought it would be for those little tiny lights. I think they're incandescent bulbs.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah. Hopefully they're 12 volts. If not, that might be why they're so bright.
Yeah, exactly.
Might be 6-volt bulbs doing extra duty. So rewiring this whole car, because the ground was essentially positive, meaning the positive terminal went to the frame, which is completely opposite to everything else. Look how tight that engine is in there. You see how many changes we had to make everything fit with everything else. A slight change one direction means it ran into something else the other direction. Now it's time to work on the gauge surround to get the cluster in the car. S2000 was tight. It's like my feet are touching. I have to verify those brakes work. So we just had to put a brand new master cylinder in it. It was leaking the whole time it's been in our shop. That's...
We got a VTEC.
I was not ready for that. First time VTEC MG. Holy crap. It feels sketchy. How does it feel over there?
Same.
It feels super sketchy. It's so tight and narrow. It's like there's nothing to hold on to. So we did put like 3 gallons of gas in it of 93. Of course, it's an S2000 motor. It has to run on 91 or better. Well, we have 93, so even though it's an arm and a leg right now, we're going to put 93 in it. This is the gas gauge, by the way. A little cumbersome, but you know.
Doesn't look like it has anything really on it.
No.
Couldn't do that again if I wanted to.
You got it right on 8?
Yep.
Let's not tell anybody how much 8 gallons costs.
That's not too bad.
$142?
Yeah, that's it.
Nobody's going to want to come to Florida. Let's see how close that is.
There's an 8 on there.
If that comes out at 8, I'm going to... So obviously we don't have a working gas gauge because the S2000 was completely different to this.
It looks wet up to there.
Is it really?
Yep, see?
That is
See the
fantastic.
drip?
Yeah, I can see it. Look how tight that is. This is my big old feet, look. That's... George has 3 pedals.
He's got pedals to work with on this side.
Is the original MG shift knob. We're just going to give him those parts back because the S2000 is obviously suits it with the 6-speed and the reverse in the right spot. This is so narrow. Like, look at this. George and I are literally elbow to elbow. People have no clue. They probably hear that noise and go, where is that coming from?
I could fit.
2 people in a 75-year-old car?
Yeah.
I wonder if we can tighten that up. Size that. How do the brakes feel?
Alright. Full manual brakes.
Yeah. Look at that, all the gears. I just realized this door is that one that comes undone now and again.
Yeah, I don't need my arm on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could literally fall out of this thing. The road is right there.
How fast is this thing going?
49.
I wonder how close that actually is.
Look at how fast crap is going by. I'd say probably, you know, so many days on the road. That guy just looked and went, what the? You see that guy in the white truck? signaling.
Yep.
Just feels like we're absolutely hauling. It rides actually quite good, doesn't it?
Yeah, not bad at all.
It's actually quite surprising.
One click.
Yep, that's it.
Sounds like a motorcycle. Can we go for a ride with you?